We should be up on all channels. Make sure we good right there. Make sure we good right there. What's going on, Kansas City? What's going on, world? I'm gonna start off with old song that I did a long time ago, and I'm doing this for a couple reasons. See, I'm something like Ali in his prime. Never humble, stay ready to rumble. Any day of the calendar, I shall destroy any challenger. Far from a pretender dogs, the game is mine. Start with that real quick. Um, Shout out to Apex Gym and my man York Wilson. So I don't know how long I'm going to be on here tonight, but I was invited to Apex Gym. They're in Independence. A lot of pro kickboxers there. Cause I was on kickboxing night tonight. Uh, Shout out to all the kickboxers for not, kicking my ass too bad. Uh, Cardio, when it comes to combat sports and street fighting, is two totally different worlds. And anybody that's engaged, and this is not a paid commercial or anything like that, I was just impressed with the gym. Anybody that's actually into combat sports, you might actually want to check out Apex, because I met a lot of fighters that had good records, and it was a good time. The coach was seemingly very welcoming. Um, yeah, so again, I don't know how long I'm gonna be on because I'm a little bit tired, but we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into some of these topics. Last night I was unable to. Sorry about that. Last night I was unable to get the videos over, so I have some of those videos that we was going to talk about. But I think we're going to start right into the heart of things, and we're coming back to local news. But tell me what you think about this, and we're going to definitely get into it.
The vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of a. Can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders. Every single refuse an illegal.
I'm going to stop it right there, and I'm going to come back to the end of her comments, because again, I want to see what you guys think, and I'm going to preface it as we're playing it. So currently, right now, you have Democratic members. And I think this is the commercial right here. You have Democratic members that came out with a commercial. And I will go back to the finalization of her comments.
All right, well, critics are going after 6 Democrat lawmakers in particular over this plea to members of the military and intelligence communities. Watch this.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard. Okay, you got that, right?
So those are the Democratic members that have came out with it. And again, I'm going to go back to the secretaries in comments. But as I'm doing that, and I got the president's comments in here too. As I'm doing that, I want to ask a very realistic question, utilizing law that currently exists right now. So if a law enforcement officer is given a directive from a judge that is illegal on face value, yes, the law enforcement officer could try not to enforce it, but that law enforcement officer by law would face penalties. And I haven't had time to research the law on this, but is this treason? And if this is treason, this would be relevant with her comment, and I'll go to the president's comment after this.
And the vice president.
by this commander-in-chief and through this
Let me
chain
back
of
up
command,
just a little bit.
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see.
Okay, now the president's comments. Before I get into any kind of breakdown, I like to give context. The president's comments. Let me make sure I get the right one. The president's comments.
Punishable by death. That's how the president is responding to a recent video message put out by 6 Democratic lawmakers. The president is accusing these current members of Congress of engaging in seditious behavior at the highest level. He says they should be arrested and put on trial.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Now that would actually equate to treason, right? And I believe, let me make sure before I say it, because I believe the penalty for treason is death. Right? That is nowhere. What is that? Treason. What is really? How do you spell treason? There it is. The crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. How is treason punished? Treason is the most serious crime against the government. So let's just go to federal treason, right? So it's in Article 3, Section 3. They give you the elements. The defendant owes allegiance to the government, intentionally betrays that allegiance, or either levying war against the government or giving aid or comfort to the government's enemies. Well, as elected officials, you have to pledge to the Constitution. So this is becoming extremely interesting. 2 types of treason: levying war, providing aid or comfort. Over acts of treason. Let's see. Still don't see the penalty. And again, I do these laws, so I don't want to take too long looking. But let's get back to the videos and the comments. So is these treasonable offenses that we're currently seeing by Congress? And if these are treasonable offenses, does that enhance what communities should be doing? Today, you have the vice president, former vice president.
We're learning that neither President Trump nor Vice President Vance were invited to the funeral. How significant is that, and why weren't they invited?
It's not surprising, Diane, and really, if you look at who is there in the Washington National Cathedral, it's a who's who of the Republican Party before the era of Donald Trump, which is a very different era here in Washington, D.C. To see President George W. Bush.
Now, again, I don't care about partisanship, and we try to get to policies and issues here. So we're visualizing the split across the board, and we already know this: old Democrats, old Republicans, the new mega wave that is changing the rules of engagement across the board. and stifled pushback. But when you see optics like this, whereas I believe it's in the middle, listen to Cheney's comments.
Bush sitting there with former President Biden and their spouses, Kamala Harris there as well. It's so significant to think about what this town looked like and how different things were before the Trump administration. And there is no love lost between the Trumps and the Cheneys. Cheney last year said that he was voting for Kamala Harris in the election after declaring that Donald Trump was the most grave threat to democracy this country had ever seen, and he should not be returned to power. That back and forth.
How many of y'all heard that before?
Cheney last year said that he was voting for Kamala Harris in the election after declaring that Donald Trump was the most grave threat to democracy this country had ever seen, and he should not be returned to power. That back and forth, it all started back after.
Now, personally, I had issues with the way they rolled out Kamala Harris. Didn't like her campaign or anything like that. But when you have an ex-sitting president that was known for doing what he wanted to do, says somebody like this is the most dangerous thing to democracy, you should kind of listen to that. That's like a serial killer telling you, like, hey, man, I get down. But that dude gonna wear the skins. So it seems like it's troubling to me when you have congressional members, let me find that real quick, that are being targeted. You have
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed. This is not normal. We cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country. Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy right now, especially those that were specifically targeted by the social media post. Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a fucking side.
like,
If you were,
I mean, and it's funny, but it's not, right? So you got Chuck Schumer talking mafioso. And I'm playing this for a reason.
Now the House has passed it, the Senate has virtually passed it, it goes to the president's desk. I was going to say, we have a lot more work to do. First, who knows how long the House will try to hold it. We should put pressure on Johnson to send it right over to us. Second, the president has said he'll sign it, but who the hell knows with him? He can change his mind on a whim. But third, and maybe most important, and I just had a meeting of 10 senators to discuss this, we got to make sure we get all of the Epstein funds, all. They can't fuck around with this. They can't say, oh, we'll give you this, but...
So again, we was talking about the Epsteins a little bit yesterday, right? And I think a lot of that is distractions because we've been knowing that he's been a predator and has been in committee for the past 4 years. The congressional representative I talked about yesterday,
And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me. Now, I heard recently.
Now, people ask all the time, well, what should we start doing? And I said immediately start organizing in your communities and then putting pressure to see where people are at. Yesterday, we suggested that the city council and the mayor promote an ordinance suggesting that the local municipality would not engage with any agency that can't identify themselves, that refuses to identify themselves. That's something simple. And again, as communities, we can either take what's happening in Washington and wait on the Gestapo tactics to actually hit your neighborhood, or you can start being proactive. Um, and again, I showed these for a reason because you have congressional. I got another one in here. Um, Lawsuits happening back and forth over property. Is this the one? Let me go to this one so I can find that one. You have laws that are being modified. The Coast Guard would no longer classify swastikas or nooses as hate symbols under a revised policy taking effect December the 15th. They're going to label them as potentially divisive. So hate symbols are no longer hate symbols. Opposition is called Antifa. And we went through the definition of Antifa. Antifa could be as simple as passing out flyers, correct?
Just outmaneuvered the MAGA Republicans and they just passed.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered. The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House.
Now we waiting on this to come out, right? And as we're waiting on this, what is happening on our investment sector? On our investment sector, we have.
But today it's a very important time in our history because there is also a lot of things that we're working in the future. We believe in the future of America. We believe in what you're doing, Mr. President, really creating a lot of good things and good foundation to create more economic growth, more business in America. And it will also your work for the world peace. I believe, Mr. President, in today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the $600 billion will be $1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing to facilitate that, and
I like that language.
I got another one on the hit y'all with too. So while everybody is talking about the Epstein files, which the president isn't actually afraid of it being released, right? And as I suggested, it's very probable that most people in the Capitol in D.C. already know what's in the Epstein files. Because when I served in office, it was very probable that when they was having committee hearings over senators and other individuals that pretty much everybody knew what was happening. Didn't know all the details, but you pretty much knew who was in where, right?
I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage and calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief. And I want to be clear. Protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people. It is about uniting humanity. I would like to thank President.
The reason I played this one is because I always find it interesting when we start having entertainers being pushed on platforms that they don't utilize their platforms in domestic situations. So in our country, currently, immigrants is being boxed up, taken out. Non-immigrants is being boxed up, taken out. Racial hate flags are no longer hate flags. They're now potentially divisive, right? But this is what
Donald Trump is the worst president of the United States for America's children. The worst president American children has ever had in terms of their health, their education, the clean, safe, and...
Now, I didn't play this to hear her. I played this to get to education. Because again, while we're watching the madness unfold in front of us, what's happening with our education policy? Education is now going to be more burdensome on the states with less federal support. What does that actually mean? Does that mean that vulnerable communities are going to be extremely isolated now? Unless, where's the, I need to find this one because it goes to what I'm talking about. And that would be the investment in technology today that deals with education. Let me see if this is it. I don't think this is it.
He's trying to categorize the pedophiles as victims. He's saying, oh, we don't embarrass the people that went to the rape island.
And again, sorry I got so many Epstein videos in here. It's hard to get past them right now, which again is problematic because most of the policies that are changing in front of us have nothing to do with the pedophiles that are going to be disclosed. Let me click over here in the videos. Let me see. This may be it.
And we're learning that neither President Trump nor Vice President Vance were.
Still having issues with streamlining some of this stuff, and that's all on me. But again, if y'all got questions, I would definitely answer them as they come in. Let's hit some local issues real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it. So in Kansas City, we started talking about crime yesterday, right? And I seen this on one of the political blogs that's in the city. The mayor has came out and he's talking about the crime drop, or the crime drop that the city is promoting, which would be non-fatal shootings down 32%, property damage down 36%, stolen autos down 33%, and robberies down 23%, which is good, sounds good. But currently we had 127 murders, right? Possibly 128. So if we had 128 murders, how is it possible that we have a drop of 32% when we don't have a drop in the murder rate? We've been consistently over 120 murders for the last 10, 20 years. I did a video earlier where I was talking about the murder that happened on the block this weekend. Right? And that was at 10 something in the morning. Broad daylight. So I would push back on what he's talking about is a drop in crime. And in doing that, I encourage folks to actually get more engaged with the allocations, because on the federal level, if we're seeing education being stripped down, like we just talked about, and I will play that education video, I just didn't see it in there right now. If we're seeing the laws of engagement and containment being changed, we're seeing senators and congressional people being targeted for arrest right now, and the rules of treason are now on the table. And again, the simple reality is, where's it at? The Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no treason shall work corruption of blood or fortitude itself. What? No. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses of the same overt act or confession in open court. So this should be interesting. And I'll play the video so I see more people coming in. I'll play the video one more time just so people can know what the treason issue is. This will be the video from the legislators.
All right, well, critics are going after 6 Democrat lawmakers in particular over this plea to members of the military and intelligence communities. Watch this.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
Okay, you caught that, right? Refusing military orders. That would be treason. Reaction, as you might imagine, swift and fierce. Libs of TikTok posted, Democrats are encouraging members of the military to commit treason and defy orders from Trump. And Republican Senator Eric Schmidt says, sounds a little subversive to democracy-ish. All right, well, critics...
Hey, y'all be talking about I'll be making no words. That's Eric Smith. He's a senator from Missouri. I don't know what democracy is. It may actually be a word, but it sounds like they made it up. And again, just for the new people that just came back in, I'm going to play this one again. This was the secretary's comments.
And the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of it. Can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
That would definitely be more than the 2 witnesses that is needed. Definitely more than 2 needed. And I can't tell you if they're going to be convicted of treason. But again, we had 5, I believe, senators receive lawsuits regarding mortgages. So we got 5 potential felons coming out right now. We got ice-free zones that is questionable because you're talking about public property. Are we being primed? We have the insovereignty with food because, again, we talked about that yesterday. With the food stamp recipients and the SNAP recipients having to reapply. Is this pushing us closer to that digital ID? And we're going to do that on the next segment. But is it pushing us closer to that digital ID? Are we going to be compliant? Like we've been compliant so far with the change in the due process?
No real ID, no passport, no problem. The TSA has proposed a new rule where passengers traveling without either form of identification would pay a fee of $18 in order to have their identity verified by a new biometric kiosk system. The fee would then allow passengers to access TSA checkpoints for 10 days. The public comment period for the proposed rule begins tomorrow. No real ID.
Now that's how it starts, right? So either you don't comply with the ID and you just start paying and hence fines, but how long does that last? All right, and why, and I don't have an answer to this, but why is you in the biometrics for only 10 days to have access? These are questions that I hope people are actually being concerned about while we're talking about the pedophile island. Because the pedophile island is real. But again, it's been in committee for about 4 or 5 years. Stop getting distracted by the simple bouncing ball. If it was that dramatic to be able to remove him, I'm pretty sure it'd have been out. The laws have already been changed, people. Right? We're talking about legal age now. 14 is legal, I believe. I believe they passed 14, right? So we already seen by policy and action that child victimization isn't an issue. We've seen that by action of the shutdown, the food and sovereignty or the medical increases wasn't an issue, because for those that have health care, tell me what your policies are starting to look like. And these are all the bouncing balls. While the bouncing balls is happening, what do we have? We have investments that structurally change our geopolitical footprint. We have structural changes to the law. When we listened to the secretary, she wasn't lying. She wasn't lying when she said they follow the law, and they've been extremely successful in the Supreme Court, because everything is getting pushed to the Supreme Court right now while we're watching the bouncing ball. States that legalize marijuana has potentially created a net of felons that are going to have their gun rights potentially restricted after the Supreme Court hearing that the Trump administration suggested that they reopen. Can y'all not see the restructuring in between the bouncing balls? That's again another Epstein. I'm tired of trying to get past the Epsteins. But for the last week, I don't care what channel you go on, that's all you see. I don't see the other video that I stacked in here. No, here it is. This goes back to the education I was talking about.
Semiconductor is announcing that they will be investing at least $100 billion in new capital in the United States over the next year. A period of time to build state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing facilities. I think mostly it's going to be in Arizona, which is what I understand, which is a great state. I like it because I won it, but I won most of them actually. So, but I did. We won it, and we won it big. The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America. And it'll be a big percentage of the chips made by his company, but as you know, they're based mostly in Taiwan, and they're far and away the biggest. There's nobody even close. This 100...
Which is interesting that we're about to do one of the biggest deals in outsourcing, but again, people aren't paying attention, because what do we see? We see the bouncing ball.
If I didn't have tariffs, we would right now, the entire world would be in a depression. What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to? If I didn't have tariffs...
I wonder how that affects the underlying defunding that we're seeing. But again, let's keep talking about the Epstein files, because we know Clinton is in there. We know Trump is in there. All right? We know it's a lot of girls that have been trafficked that's in there. We know that there hasn't been any removals from criminal prosecution, because it's been in committee, which means it would have access to the FBI and some of the top law enforcement agencies. So how important is the releasing of the files? And I believe people should know. But is it more important than treason? Is it more important than the defunding of education being left to the states for the most part? Is it more important than the changing of access via identification, which possibly could be the first step, because we have a lot of dependents that are going to have to reapply, and a lot of dependents that are going to have to be verified. Man, the world we're living in. And again, I said this was going to be a short segment because I was at Apex Gym and I didn't get all my stuff lined up. But I wanted to come back in and hit some of those videos that we did not get to last night because of the transfer over. And I wanted to talk about the new treason issue because that came out today. And I think people need to pay more attention. I think people should pay attention to the funeral, the ex-vice president's words, and the words of the secretary of how they're actually following the law, because they are. How the Supreme Court is pretty much guaranteed to change all challenges. And I don't think people are very much concerned with how the law works. So when you have lower courts that rule on issues and those issues get challenged, they get bumped up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court rules on issues, doesn't matter no longer what the lower courts say. And if the Supreme Court is guaranteed to rule by the way the administration wants, then you're probably walking yourself into a new form of governance willingly. And again, for those on the local level, get active. Get active with your local government, challenging them to create independent protections, because it's being left up to the states to ensure that you're not about to be victimized, to ensure that you have the right to organize independently. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get off. I do want to thank those that have been watching. I want to thank those that have subscribed. I want to thank those that have been sharing. And as always, I will work to get a little bit tighter every time we get on to make sure the videos are a little quicker, a little bit more in sync. If y'all have questions, comments, let me know. I'll always try to address those. Same with local issues. Let me know the local issues you want me to start tapping into, and I'll start breaking those down, disposing of boule. That's on me. I'm going to have fun with that. But local issues that y'all want me to start tapping into, let me know. Because we have a lot of stuff going on down here. Bus funding cuts. A lot of this local issues are bypassed because of the cycle on a local level. You see the same issue that comes back time and time and time again with little to no action. So I don't like talking about them as much, but I will start talking about them when I know money is flowing. No ifs, ands, and buts. And with that, they said the revolution won't be televised. We say that shit's going to be live.